students, I'm Madam Joyce from Educare TZ. I'm teaching biology, and today I'll be with you to discuss our very interesting topic, which is coordination and irritability. But here, my students, our main concern of today, we are going to deal with our subtopic, which is called the nervous coordination in mammals. We are discussing our subtopic, which is nervous coordination in mammal. In this subtopic, we have tried to see different kinds of things or different content which are found within this subtopic. And we can remind ourselves that on the last session, we tried to look on the conduction of the nerve's impulse within the neuron. But also we are going more further to discuss the type C, or we can say that characteristics of the nerve's impulse. Tukasema kwamba the characteristics of nerve's impulse ziko almost 5, and I have tried to mention to you, and I promise that in the last session, in this session is where now we are going to explain those characteristics of the nerve's impulse. So as I have said, that in today's session we are going to start, or we are going to begin with the characteristics of the nerve's impulse. Characteristics of the nerve's impulse. As we have already seen that nerve's impulse are the information which come from the stimulus thereafter should be transported within the neurons. So what are the characteristics of this nerve's impulse? Is here now we are going to see those. So now nerve's impulse have the following characteristics feature. And the first feature of the nerve impulse, it is transmission speed. Ile speed ya transmission of the nerve impulse within the neuron ipoje. So here we are saying that impulse are always transmitted at very high speed. Impulse within the neuron are transmitted in very high speed, yani kunakuwa na speed kubwa sana kwenye kutransmit hizi impulse ambazo zinapatikana kwenye neuron. Remember, here we have said that impulse come from the surrounding environment due to the changes that are occurring within the environment, that is the stimulus. So pale ambapo mtu atapata any kind of stimulus, either for touch, either for smell, it will go rapidly into the neurons, and thereafter a person can provide or can respond accordingly. So as we have seen that this nerve impulse, they move at very high speed within the neuron. But here also we can say that depending on the nature of the nerve cells, the speed of the transmission, the speed of transmissions varies from 0.5 to 100 meters per millisecond. So hii pia inadependi na ile tunasema kwamba inadependi na nature of the nerves. So nature of the nerves ndio inadepend na ile speed ya nerves, speed ya impulse kupita ndani ya ile nerves. And now we can say that the speed of impulse transmission is determined by body temperature, axon diameter, and presence of myelin shape. So ile speed ya transmission of the nerves impulse inadependi kwenye vitu vikuu vitatu, na hii ndio ambayo ina bring about tuseme kwamba nature of the nerves. And the first one, it is a body temperature. So we can say that how body temperature now, it can enhance the speed of transmission of the nerves impulse, is where now we are going to see. And also axon diameter, the length of the diameter, how can facilitate transmission of the nerves impulse. And also here we are going to see those. And also the presence of the myelin sheath, the coverage of the axon. The cover of the axon, how can it facilitate transmission of the nerve's impulse? Is here now we are going to see. But first we have to see the first transmission of impulse, that is body temperature. How body temperature can facilitate the speed of transmission of the nerve's impulse. Here we are saying that the speed of impulse transmission depends on the body temperature of an organism, such that the speed of impulse transmission in a homothermic organism is greater than in hypoelectrothermic organism. Tunasema kwamba hapa hii speed of transmission of the nerve's impulse inakuwa ina vary to one organism and another organism. Kwa mfano hawa organism ambao ni homothermic organism, for example human being are homotherm, and also cows and so on, all animals, they are homothermic organism. So transmission of the nerve impulse in this organism, mainly mammals, tunasema kwamba inakuwa ni tofauti ukikompare na zile poikilothermic organism. Here we are talking about reptiles. Transmission of the nerve impulse within the reptile and transmission of the nerve impulse within the crush mammal, it's quite different. And that's bring about different in transmission of the nerve impulse, depend on the body temperature. Kwa sababu on homothermic organism, these are organisms that their temperature are constantly, does not depend on the external environment. But this poikilothermic organism are organisms that they depend on the surrounding temperature. Kwa maana kwamba if the temperature it change on the outside environment, also their body temperature will change. So hiyo inatokana na nini? Na aina ya organism, either poikilotherm or homothermic organism. So that is the first feature, or that the first effect that lead to transmission of the nerve impulse. And another one, it is axon diameter. Another thing here, it is axon diameter. So how axon diameter can facilitate the speed of transmission of the nerve impulse? Here we are saying that the greater the axon diameter, the larger the transmission speed. So this is because increased axon diameter minimize the resistance of the axoplasm. So here tumesema kwamba the greater the axon diameter, the higher the transmission speed of the nerve impulse. Kwa maana kwamba ile axon diameter ikiwa pana ndiyo ambayo inapelekea urahisi kwenye kutransmit impulse kwa urahisi zaidi ukikompare na ile axon ambayo inakuwa na diameter ndogo. Kwa ile axon iliyokuwa na diameter ndogo, ile transmission speed of the nerve impulse itakuwa ni much slower compared to the high or wider diameter that is found within the axon. A good example here, you can take a pipe. For example, you have a pipe, larger pipe and smaller pipe. Zile pipe zinatumika kupitisha maji. Kwenye lile pipe ambalo linakuwa na larger diameter, kwa maana kwamba linakuwa na uwazi mkubwa, ndio ambao maji yatapita kwa wingi zaidi. Lakini kwenye ile pipe ambayo inakuwa na small diameter, that is kunakuwa na uwazi mchache, maji yatakayopita pale yatakuwa very small. The same as the axon diameter in the transmission speed of the nerve impulse. And also we have another feature that causes the transmission, or that affect the transmission of the nerve impulse according to the speed. Now we can say that the presence of the myelin sheath. As I have said, we have already discussed it about on the structure of the neuron. Tumesema within the neuron there is axon. Within the axon is where now the myelin sheath, they are covered, they cover the axon of the neuron. So now, how this myelin sheath affect the speed of the nerve impulse? So here we are saying that axon with the myelin sheath conduct impulse at higher speed than those without myelin sheath. Kwa maana kwamba ile axon ambayo inakuwa na myelin sheath, that coverage, the cover that protect the axon, ndiyo ambayo ina speed up the rate of transmission of the nerve impulse very quickly compared to those neurons that lack myelin sheath. We're going later on to see the effect of this myelin sheath when we're going to discuss on the transmission of the nerve impulse across the synapse and so on. But here, the thing that you have to keep into your mind is that the myelin sheath, it affects the transmission of the nerve impulse. How? The neuron that contain a myelin sheath inakuwa ina speed up the rate of transmission of the nerve impulse compared to the neuron that lack myelin sheath. And now we can say that since the myelin sheath allows impulse to leap from one node of ganglia to another, thereby increase transmission speed. So we're going to see this on the figure 4.14. This is the saltatory conduction. So here ndo tunaita saltatory conduction. Other day you can be asked, what is the saltatory conduction? Here we have said that ile transmission speed inayotokea kati ya node of Lambda moja na node of Lambda nyingine, kwa maana kwamba ile impulse ikiwa inapita within the axon. Remember we have the myelin sheath, na kwenye kila myelin sheath, kwenye the end of the myelin sheath there is a point which is called the node of Lambda, na ile node of Lambda ndiyo ambayo sasa ina speed up the rate of transmission of the nerve impulse, as you can see here, that thereby increase transmission speed. This is we can call saltatory conduction, increase in speed of transmission of the nerve impulse due to the presence of the myelin sheath, whereby this neuron or the impulse, they are increasing the speed within the structure which is called the node of Lambda. So my student, thereby you have to know that this myelin sheath is very crucial in transmission of the nerve impulse. So my student, in the next session of in the next part of this session is where now we are going to see another features of the nerve impulse. So thank you for listening.